Some people say the Cenozoic is only the age after the dinosaurs. They're wrong. It is the era that built the world beneath our feet, shaped the climates above our heads, and carved the destiny of every living being, including us, and here on Chronicles of Earth, where every second hides a story written in stone. We uncover how 66 million years of transformation gave rise to the planet we call home. The Cenozoic is not just a chapter in the history of the Earth. It is the mirror through which we understand resilience, adaptation, and the fragile balance holding life together. From exploding supervolcanoes to shifting continents, from ancient oceans stirring with new circulation to the first sparks of humanity in the African savannas, everything we know traces back to this era. You're about to witness how the universe shaped us long before we ever shaped it. If you've ever wondered how climates forged civilizations, how mammals rose from obscurity, how ecosystems formed, or why humanity carries such profound responsibility, this journey will answer and challenge you. Because the Cenozoic is a map of vulnerability and power, of collapse and renewal, of life remaking itself again and again. Today, you're not just watching another scientific video. You're stepping inside the pulse of deep time, where oceans breathe, continents move, and life rewrites its own fate. Stay with me, because what you're about to see will change the way you look at your planet, your species, and your place in the cosmos. Before we begin, tell me down below, what era of Earth's history fascinates you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. I read everyone. And if you're new here, subscribe to Chronicles of Earth and turn on notifications so you never miss a journey across the universe of time. The Cenozoic begins in a hush shaped by catastrophe, when the last echoes of the asteroid fade and the planet faces a silence it has never known. Forests lie fractured, oceans hold the memory of fire, and the atmosphere hangs heavy with dust and grief. Yet beneath this stillness, Earth prepares for reinvention, carrying the ancient resilience that has guided life since its origin. Every fragment of ash becomes a seed for what comes next, reminding the universe that endings never stand alone. In this fragile dawn, the planet breathes again. Light filters through the dim sky as the Earth adjusts its contours, revealing a landscape both wounded and waiting. A geological boundary has formed, marking the transition from destruction to renewal. In the aftermath of global upheaval, the planet begins stitching together new ecosystems with quiet persistence. This transformation is slow but deliberate, guided by the same natural laws that shaped every chapter of the history of the Earth. Time, as always, becomes the healer. Across the continents, volcanic forces carve fresh coastlines, while tectonic plates shift into new rhythms. The world that loses its giants must now learn to grow without them, shaping an era defined not by dominance, but by experimentation. In mineral-rich pools, microorganisms continue weaving the foundation of life, carrying the memory of ancient oceans in their fragile forms. Their survival proves that the planet, even at its lowest, safeguards the essence of existence. Life refuses to release its hold. As the atmosphere clears, sunlight returns with renewed purpose, restoring warmth and triggering winds that will sculpt future climates. These early atmospheric patterns set the stage for storms, currents, and cycles that will one day define the entire planet. Through this dynamic interplay, Earth reshapes itself with scientific precision, guided by physics rather than chaos. The planet becomes a canvas for creation, painted stroke by stroke through energy and motion. The seeds of future biodiversity stir beneath the surface. Rivers begin carving new paths across battered terrain, carrying sediments that will become the chronicles of future geological eras. Ocean temperatures shift, reorganizing life from the smallest plankton to the earliest marine predators. Every change is part of a vast symphony of recovery, embedding resilience into the structure of ecosystems. What emerges from this process is not just survival, but transformation. Each sediment layer becomes a testament to Earth's relentless endurance. On land, small mammals emerge from hiding, creatures once overshadowed in a world ruled by titans. Their adaptability becomes the spark that ignites the age of mammals, rewriting evolutionary possibilities. They move into abandoned ecological niches, exploring forests, plains, and future mountain ranges, molded by tectonic restlessness. This quiet rise marks a turning point in the story of life on the planet. What was once overlooked becomes the catalyst for the future. Climate oscillations begin shaping subtle but decisive patterns, balancing heat, moisture, and atmospheric flow. These fluctuations sculpt ecosystems and guide species into new paths of adaptation. Mountains rise gradually, oceans deepen, and the continents drift toward their familiar shapes, setting the stage for modern life. Through this steady geological choreography, Earth prepares the framework of the world we know today. The universe watches a planet rebuild itself with precision. The blueprint of the modern Earth begins here. The dawn of the Cenozoic stands as a quiet miracle, a moment when Earth refuses to surrender to emptiness and instead chooses reinvention. Guided by natural laws and the persistent spark of life, the planet begins writing the longest and most transformative chapter of its existence. This era teaches humanity that renewal is always possible, even after unthinkable devastation. It reveals that resilience is woven into the fabric of the cosmos. The Cenozoic opens not with triumph, but with potential, an echo that will shape the next 66 million years. Life in the early Cenozoic moves with quiet determination, carried by small, warm-blooded creatures that once lived in the shadows of giants. With the dinosaurs gone, mammals step forward not through force but through persistence, exploring every corner of a changing Earth. Their adaptability becomes their greatest strength, allowing them to thrive in forests, plains, and mountains shaped by shifting climates. The planet, still healing, offers new ecological spaces ready to be filled. In this silence, a revolution begins. Mammals diversify with remarkable speed, each lineage experimenting with forms and behaviors that push evolution into unexplored territory. Some take to the trees, some return to the water, and others roam across open landscapes sculpted by geological forces. This explosion of diversity becomes one of the most important events in the history of the Earth, reshaping food webs and ecosystems from the ground up. Nature rewards flexibility, and mammals embrace it fully. Earth's future begins to crystallize through their flourishing. Climate plays a central role in this transformation, guiding the rise of species through pulses of warming and cooling that echo across continents. As forests expand and contract, mammals learn to endure scarcity, abundance, drought, and cold. Their ability to regulate body temperature gives them an edge in environments once impossible to conquer. This physiological advantage becomes a driving force in their success across diverse habitats. The universe observes as adaptability becomes the engine of life's renewal. In the oceans, ancient lines of mammals evolve into whales, dolphins, and seals, returning to the water with elegance and purpose. Their transformation illustrates the power of natural selection, revealing how life can reinvent itself when guided by time and necessity. These marine mammals reshape entire ecosystems, influencing food chains that reach from the surface to the deep sea. Their presence becomes a testament to evolution's creativity. The origin of life expands into new realms with each adaptation. On land, predators evolve sharper senses, quicker reflexes, and more sophisticated hunting strategies. Herbivores grow larger, faster, and more social, learning to navigate landscapes filled with both risk and opportunity. These dynamics create a balance that strengthens ecosystems, promoting diversity and resilience. Each species becomes part of a larger narrative shaped by geological eras and shifting climates. The planet turns their struggle into a symphony of survival. Forests transform into laboratories of innovation, where primates begin experimenting with grasping hands, forward-facing eyes, and complex social structures. These early steps lay the foundation for a lineage that will one day alter the course of the universe. In the canopy, intelligence becomes a survival tool, allowing individuals to solve problems, communicate, and adapt with unprecedented nuance. Evolution gains a new dimension through cognition. A quiet revolution is unfolding in the branches. Meanwhile, volcanic activity, mountain building, and drifting continents continue shaping the stage upon which mammals rise. As plate tectonics rearrange the planet, ecosystems reorganize. testing species in ways that refine their strengths. These geological processes create corridors, barriers, and climates that push evolution forward. The Earth functions as both architect and mentor, crafting environments where possibility becomes destiny. Every shift in the crust echoes through the story of life. By the height of the Cenozoic, mammals dominate the planet with diversity unmatched in previous geological eras. From tiny shrews to towering giants, they embody the resilience and creativity of evolution. Their rise illustrates that transformation often emerges from quiet beginnings rather than dramatic force. The age of mammals becomes a lesson in patience, adaptability, and the enduring power of life. In their silent ascent, Earth finds new architects for its future. The early Cenozoic warms with a force that reshapes the destiny of the planet, pushing temperatures far beyond anything modern humanity has experienced. This great warming spreads across oceans and continents, transforming ecosystems and redefining the paths life will take. Seas rise, flooding coastlines, while lush forests blanket regions once dry and rigid. The history of the Earth turns another page, written with heat instead of ash. The planet breathes deeply, preparing for profound change. Across the globe, the oceans swell with warmth, their currents shifting in patterns that will influence climates for millions of years. Marine life responds with both expansion and retreat, depending on where conditions become favorable or hostile. Coral reefs grow in areas newly bathed in sunlight, while other species struggle to adapt to rising temperatures. These changes ripple through every food web, reshaping the balance of marine ecosystems. The science behind these shifts reveals a world in constant negotiation with itself. On land, forests grow dense and vibrant, reaching across latitudes that today feel unimaginable. Rainforests emerge in regions that now lie beneath snow and ice, showing how different the planet once looked. Mammals flourish in this greenhouse world, exploring new territories and evolving forms suited for the heat. Earth's biosphere becomes a thriving tapestry of life, colored by diversity and resilience. It is a reminder of how dynamic and unpredictable the planet can be. Continents continue drifting, driven by the restless power of plate tectonics, opening gateways that accelerate climatic transitions. As ocean basins widen and mountain ranges rise, wind patterns shift and new climate zones emerge. These slow geological movements act like the pulse of the Earth, guiding long-term environmental trends. The universe watches as continents breathe, reshaping the future with every centimeter of motion. The geography of the modern world begins to take form in these subtle migrations. Volcanic activity intensifies during this era, releasing vast amounts of carbon dioxide that amplify global warming. These eruptions contribute to atmospheric changes that deepen the greenhouse effect, reinforcing the planet's fevered state. Yet volcanism also creates new habitats by forming islands, enriching soils, and stimulating evolutionary innovation. Earth's processes are never singular. Every force carries both destruction and creation. This duality shapes the rhythm of the Cenozoic. Life responds with remarkable adaptability, evolving traits that match the intensity of the climate. Mammals develop specialized teeth, limbs, and digestive systems that allow them to thrive in increasingly diverse environments. Plants evolve new strategies for conserving water, spreading seeds, and surviving extreme heat. This evolutionary creativity becomes a cornerstone of the era, reflecting the constant interplay between biology and climate. The origin of life continues to echo through these transformations. Oceans, though warming, act as stabilizers of global climate by absorbing heat and carbon, delaying even more extreme changes. Their vastness becomes both a buffer and a warning, showing how finely balanced the Earth's systems truly are. Marine currents reorganize, transporting warmth to distant regions and shaping weather patterns across continents. These processes demonstrate the interconnectedness of the planet at every scale. Earth operates as a single, living system. By the end of this warming phase, the planet stands transformed, lush, dynamic, and teeming with life shaped by heat. This greenhouse world, though alien to us today, becomes a crucial chapter in the geological eras that define Earth's long and complex story. It teaches that the planet has always moved through cycles of intense change, guided by physics, chemistry, and time. The Great Warming marks both a challenge and a triumph for life. From heat, new possibilities emerge. As the Cenozoic unfolds, Earth begins assembling the foundations of the ecosystems we recognize today. Climate shifts carve new boundaries, guiding forests, grasslands, and wetlands into stable yet evolving forms. Life responds with precision, adapting to gradients of temperature, rainfall, and terrain that will define the future of the planet. The history of the Earth turns toward refinement rather than reconstruction, shaping complexity from the remnants of ancient worlds. A new ecological architecture rises. Forests diversify into intricate layers of canopy, undergrowth, and soil life, each supporting species that interact with breathtaking delicacy. Mammals, birds, and insects establish relationships that form the backbone of biodiversity, creating networks essential for pollination, seed dispersal, and nutrient cycling. This choreography between species becomes a quiet triumph of evolution, revealing how cooperation and competition sculpt the natural world. The planet embraces complexity with confidence. Modern ecosystems take their first breath. Grasslands begin to spread across continents, triggered by cooling trends and changes in rainfall patterns. These open landscapes become arenas for evolutionary innovation, encouraging speed, endurance, and new forms of social behavior in mammals. Herbivores evolve specialized diets, while predators refine strategies shaped by distance and visibility. This open terrain sparks a new chapter in the science of survival. The rise of grasslands marks a turning point in the story of the Earth. Wetlands emerge as cradles of life, balancing water, vegetation, and sediment in delicate harmony. These environments become vital havens for fish, amphibians, insects, and early birds, offering protection and stability in a world still shifting. Wetlands regulate climate by storing carbon, filter water, and foster species found nowhere else. They demonstrate the planet's ability to engineer resilience. Their existence becomes a statement of Earth's adaptability. Rivers weave through continents like living arteries, connecting ecosystems and sustaining life across vast regions. Their currents distribute nutrients, shape landforms, and provide pathways for species dispersal. Floodplains support lush vegetation, becoming centers of productivity that influence faraway landscapes. This intricate hydrological network solidifies the structure of modern biomes. The planet's waterways become the architects of connection. In the oceans, new marine ecosystems form along coastlines, coral reefs, and the open sea. Fish diversify in extraordinary ways, while marine mammals and seabirds rise as dominant players. Ocean currents, driven by shifts in temperature and salinity, orchestrate the movement of nutrients that sustain entire food webs. These underwater realms embody both fragility and power, reflecting the planet's perpetual dance with the universe. Life beneath the waves reaches new heights of diversity. Climate continues to influence every detail of ecological balance, modulating rainfall, wind patterns, and seasonal cycles. These elements shape the timing of migrations, breeding seasons, and flowering events, weaving predictability into the rhythms of life. Stability emerges not from stillness, but from the consistency of cycles repeated over countless generations. The planet becomes a symphony of interconnected processes. Ecosystems rise in harmony with the pulse of Earth. By the height of this transformative period, the planet stands covered with ecosystems that resemble the ones humanity knows today. Forests, grasslands, deserts, oceans, and wetlands form a mosaic that reveals the immense creativity of evolution. The geological eras have converged into a world that is both ancient and familiar, filled with patterns echoed across millions of years. The birth of modern ecosystems becomes a testament to nature's mastery of adaptation. From these structures, the future of life emerges. In the warm forests of the early Cenozoic, a subtle revolution begins high above the forest floor. Among branches woven with sunlight and shadow, the first primates experiment with movement, perception, and curiosity in ways no lineage had attempted before. Their world is vertical, textured, and endlessly complex, demanding agility and awareness that reshape the future of life. These small creatures, barely noticed in the history of the Earth, spark a transformation that will echo through the universe. A new path opens quietly among the leaves. Their hands become tools of exploration, capable of grasping branches with precision and intention. Forward-facing eyes give them a different view of the world, merging depth, distance, and motion into a single, coherent perspective. This shift strengthens their ability to navigate forests dense with life, guiding them through challenges that demand creativity and quick decision-making. Each adaptation unfolds like poetry, written in bone and muscle. Evolution takes a thoughtful step. As climates warm and cool in rhythmic pulses, forests expand, contract, and reshape themselves, challenging primates to adapt again and again. They learn to leap across gaps, cling to shifting bark, and read the forest with senses sharpened by necessity. These pressures refine their intelligence, encouraging behaviors rooted in memory, anticipation, and social connection. Science reveals how cognition emerges from struggle. The origins of complex thought begin here, in trembling branches. Their diets diversify as they explore fruits, leaves, insects, and seeds, each requiring different techniques for gathering and processing. This dietary flexibility shapes their teeth, jaws, and digestive systems, reinforcing their ability to survive in unstable environments. Food becomes more than sustenance. It becomes an invitation to innovate. Primates carve niches within ecosystems crowded with competition. Their resilience carries them through every climatic shift. Social groups form as protection against predators and as a foundation for cooperation. Within these groups, communication grows richer, blending vocalizations, gestures, and expressions that convey subtle shades of emotion and intent. These early bonds teach individuals to rely on one another, nurturing trust, play, and shared responsibility. Such interactions deepen their evolutionary potential. The roots of empathy begin to take hold. As tectonic forces rearrange continents, new forests appear while others vanish, forcing primates to migrate, split, and evolve along separate paths. Some adapt to life on the ground, others cling to arboreal existence. Still others explore hybrid lifestyles that blend both. These divergences sow the seeds for future diversity, creating lineages that will eventually produce monkeys, apes, and humans. The planet becomes a vast canvas for evolutionary exploration. Every landscape shapes a new possibility. Predators push them to refine their senses, strengthening awareness of sound, movement, and danger. Their heightened perception becomes a core survival trait, influencing their behavioral choices and long-term evolutionary direction. Through constant vigilance, primates develop sharper instincts and quicker responses. Each generation becomes more skilled at reading the environment. Life teaches them that attention is a form of power. By the height of their early evolution, primates stand as one of the most adaptable and insightful groups of the Cenozoic. Their innovations, hands that grasp, eyes that judge depth, minds that remember, set the stage for the rise of intelligence across the planet. In the quiet revolution of the trees, the building blocks of humanity take shape. The future begins not with dominance, but with awareness, curiosity, and connection. From these branches, the modern world will one day descend. As the planet cools and the Cenozoic moves into its later chapters, Earth summons a cast of giants unlike anything seen before. Massive mammals rise across continents, shaped by ice, scarcity, and the relentless rhythm of changing climates. Woolly mammoths, towering ground sloths, and armored rhinoceroses roam sweeping plains sculpted by wind and frost. Their size becomes both a shield and a burden, reflecting the extremes of their world. Evolution writes boldly when the cold takes command. These creatures thrive in open habitats forged by the spread of grasslands and the retreat of ancient forests. Their heavy bodies conserve heat, while dense fur, thick skin, and robust muscles prepare them for winters that test every instinct. Some migrate thousands of kilometers each year, following vegetation patterns carved by daylight and temperature. Others form powerful herds, relying on social bonds to survive storms and scarcity. The Earth becomes a stage for resilience on a monumental scale. Predators rise in equal majesty, evolving strength, coordination, and intelligence to hunt prey far larger than themselves. Saber-toothed cats perfect ambush strategies, while dire wolves develop unmatched teamwork, their packs moving like a single organism. These interactions form the backbone of ecosystems, balancing populations and shaping behaviors across entire landscapes. The science of predation becomes a testament to nature's precision. In the dance between hunter and hunted, life sharpens itself. Ice sheets advance from the poles, freezing oceans, carving mountains, and grinding valleys into clean, stark shapes. These glacial movements influence global climate, sea levels, and the distribution of life, pushing megafauna to migrate, adapt, or perish. Their migrations trace patterns across continents that modern scientists can still follow through fossils and geology. Every step leaves a signature in the history of the Earth. The planet's breath grows cold, steady, and powerful. Plant life evolves under the pressure of grazing giants, growing tougher leaves, deeper roots, and seeds shaped for long-distance travel. Grasslands expand into some of the most productive ecosystems ever formed, feeding herds that reshape soil and vegetation. This interplay between flora and fauna becomes an engine of transformation, reinforcing climate stability through carbon storage and nutrient cycling. The Earth learns to thrive beneath the weight of giants. Ecosystems grow rich through friction. As the cold deepens, some species adapt by shrinking, conserving energy in smaller, more agile bodies. Others double down on magnitude, relying on mass and endurance to dominate unforgiving winters. These strategies illuminate evolution's versatility, revealing how life negotiates the harshest environments with creativity and courage. Survival becomes an art form, etched into ancient bones. Each adaptation speaks to Earth's fierce demand for balance. Despite their strength, megafauna remain vulnerable to sudden climate shifts that disrupt vegetation cycles and water availability. As warming pulses interrupt glacial rhythms, many species face declines they cannot outrun. This fragility underscores a truth woven through every geological era. Even the mightiest forms of life depend on harmony with the planet. Their fate becomes a lesson in the delicate structure of ecosystems. Greatness alone cannot overcome instability. By their peak, megafauna transform continents into living monuments of strength and adaptation. They embody the power of evolution to craft beings suited for extremes, yet forever bound to the planet's cycles. Their rise shapes soils, climates, predators, and even the pathways that early humans will one day walk. The giants who ruled the cold carry forward the story of endurance written over millions of years. In their footsteps, the next chapter of life quietly approaches. The arrival of the Ice Ages marks one of the most dramatic transformations in the history of the Earth. Vast sheets of ice descend from the poles, grinding mountains into dust and reshaping entire continents with slow, relentless force. Valleys widen, lakes form, and coastlines shift as glaciers carve the planet like an artist working in cold marble. Life is pushed to its limits, squeezed into pockets of warmth where survival becomes a daily negotiation. The world grows quiet beneath a mantle of frozen time. As temperatures drop, sea levels fall dramatically, revealing land bridges that connect regions previously divided by oceans. These pathways become routes for migration, allowing species to expand their territories or escape the deepening cold. Mammals, birds, and early humans follow these new corridors, carrying genetic diversity across vast distances. Earth becomes a global laboratory of movement and adaptation. The planet redefines the boundaries of life with every glacial pulse. The atmosphere shifts as ice covers millions of square kilometers, reflecting sunlight back into space and reinforcing the planet's cooling. Wind patterns change, creating dry, dusty landscapes in some regions and heavy snowfall in others. These climatic oscillations shape ecosystems with precision, sculpting biomes that respond to every rhythmic fluctuation. In this period of extremes, the science of climate reveals its most intricate workings. The Earth breathes in long, frozen intervals. Rivers emerge from melting glaciers each summer, roaring through valleys with tremendous force, carrying sediments that will one day form fertile plains. These waters reshape the landscapes they cross, generating new habitats for plants and animals. Lakes fill depressions carved by retreating ice, becoming reservoirs of future biodiversity. The hydrological cycles of the planet gain new complexity. Each meltwater surge contributes to Earth's evolving identity. Life adapts in extraordinary ways, developing thick fur, fat reserves, and behavioral strategies to endure the cold. Mammoths, bison, and reindeer thrive on windswept steppes, while predators refine their skills to keep pace with migrating herds. Plants evolve to grow quickly during brief summers, storing energy in roots that can withstand long winters. This era becomes a crucible of innovation, powered by the pressures of freezing climates. Evolution meets the challenge with courage. Human ancestors confront the cold with ingenuity rather than physical strength. They craft clothing from hides, control fire with growing mastery, and build shelters that allow them to survive in places once uninhabitable. Their increasing intelligence becomes a tool as essential as teeth or claws, enabling them to traverse harsh environments. Across icy horizons, humanity begins testing the limits of adaptation. The foundations of culture take root in the struggle for warmth. As glaciers advance and retreat in cycles lasting tens of thousands of years, ecosystems reorganize from one era to the next. Forests spread during warm interglacial periods, then contract as cold returns, creating mosaics of shifting habitats. Species rise and fall in response to these environmental rhythms, their fates written in fossils preserved beneath layers of ice and sediment. The geological eras unfold with patient consistency. The planet's memory deepens through repetition. When the last great ice sheets begin to melt, they leave behind a world profoundly transformed. Rivers redirected, plains expanded, soils enriched, coastlines redrawn. The ice ages sculpt not only the land, but the trajectory of life itself, influencing migration, extinction, and emergence. These frozen epochs reveal the power of climate to direct evolution on a global scale. In the retreat of the ice, Earth prepares for its next unfolding chapter, one shaped increasingly by the hands of humans. In the shifting landscapes of the late Cenozoic, where forests meet open grasslands shaped by cooling climates, the earliest ancestors of humanity take their tentative steps into history. These beings live between worlds, climbing trees for safety, yet venturing onto the ground for opportunity. Their bodies adapt to a life of duality, where balance, awareness, and experimentation guide every movement. The history of the Earth begins to echo with footsteps that will one day reshape the planet. A new chapter quietly unfolds. As grasslands expand, early hominins stand more frequently on two legs, gaining a wider view of predators, resources, and distant horizons. This shift in posture transforms their anatomy, strengthening hips, knees, and spine in ways that will define their lineage. Walking upright frees their hands to explore, gather, and craft, creating possibilities no other species has embraced. Evolution takes a daring step toward the future. The universe watches change rise from simplicity. Their diets diversify as they learn to exploit new sources of food. Roots, tubers, fruits, nuts, and eventually even scavenged meat. This variety supports growing brains that demand more energy, pushing the lineage toward greater intelligence. Every bite becomes a spark for neural development, reinforcing curiosity and problem-solving. Science reveals how biology and behavior intertwine to guide evolution. Life prepares humans for a destiny still far beyond reach. Social bonds deepen as groups grow larger, relying on cooperation for protection and survival. Communication becomes richer, blending gestures, vocalizations, and expressions into systems that convey intent, warning, and affection. These connections strengthen survival and lay the foundation for culture, creating shared experience across generations. Through collaboration, early humans gain resilience. Community becomes their most powerful adaptation. As climates shift, hominins migrate across rivers, valleys, and savannas, exploring new territories shaped by tectonic restlessness. Each movement introduces challenges, different predators, new resources, unfamiliar landscapes. These journeys refine endurance, strategy, and adaptability, shaping a lineage capable of surviving extremes. Earth becomes both teacher and test. The footsteps of ancient humans trace the map of survival. Tool use emerges gradually, first through stones used to crack bones or shape wood, then through deliberate crafting, guided by intention. These tools extend the hominins' reach, allowing them to access new food sources and defend themselves more effectively. With each improvement, cognition sharpens, reflecting the growing capacity for planning and memory. Evolution begins feeding on innovation itself. Intelligence becomes a force in the universe. Evidence of fire appears as early humans learn to harness its warmth, protection, and ability to transform food. Fire becomes a turning point, altering diet, physiology, and social life by extending waking hours into the night. Around its light, bonds strengthen and knowledge transfers between generations. This mastery reflects a shift no other species has accomplished. Control of fire marks the rise of humans as active shapers of their destiny. By the time these early ancestors stand firmly on the African landscape, their presence signals a transformation in the long story of the Earth. They are still animals, shaped by natural forces, yet they carry within them the spark of future creativity, culture, and consciousness. From these humble origins, humanity will one day explore oceans, skies, and even the cosmos. Their footsteps in deep time mark the beginning of a journey that will change the world forever. From the vast savannas of Africa, a new species emerges, one both delicate in body and extraordinary in mind. Homo sapiens carry lightweight frames, limited strength, and minimal natural defenses, yet their brains burn with curiosity and creativity unmatched in the history of the Earth. They observe patterns in the stars, notice shifts in animal behavior, and learn to predict the seasons written across the land. Their fragility becomes the doorway to innovation. A profound shift begins in silence. These early humans develop language with a nuance no other species achieves, weaving meaning through sound, rhythm, and breath. Words become tools more powerful than claws or teeth, allowing them to plan hunts, share memories, warn of danger, and dream aloud. With language comes the ability to transfer knowledge across generations, building a shared intelligence that grows with every retelling. Culture becomes humanity's collective mind. The universe listens as stories take shape. Art begins to appear on cave walls and carved bones, revealing an inner world no fossil record can fully capture. Through pigment and engraving, early humans express fear, gratitude, reverence, and identity, leaving traces of imagination that outlive their creators. These symbols mark the birth of spirituality, creativity, and abstract thought. In a world shaped by survival, humans start shaping meaning. The origin of consciousness becomes visible. Homo sapiens refine their tool-making skills, producing blades, needles, clothing, and shelters that allow them to thrive in climates once impossible to inhabit. They cross deserts, climb mountains, and push into frozen landscapes forged during the ice ages. Their adaptability becomes their greatest evolutionary advantage, enabling them to colonize every continent except Antarctica. Through resourcefulness, humanity rewrites the limits of biology. The Earth expands under their feet. As they build larger communities, social structures grow more complex, blending cooperation with conflict, leadership with tradition, and innovation with ritual. Their lives revolve around family units, shared labor, and reciprocal relationships that sustain group survival. Trade routes begin forming across continents long before recorded history, connecting distant populations through goods, stories, and ideas. Humanity becomes a web of connection. Culture evolves into an unseen landscape. Climate fluctuations test humans repeatedly, pushing them to alter migratory routes, adjust hunting strategies, and discover new resources. These challenges refine their problem-solving abilities, shaping cognitive flexibility that will define future civilizations. Each obstacle becomes a catalyst for growth, reinforcing resilience across populations. The scientific story of humanity is one of constant negotiation with the environment. Earth molds its newest inhabitant with precision. By the time the last major ice age ends, Homo sapiens stand as the dominant species on the planet, yet still vulnerable, still learning, still deeply intertwined with nature. They develop early agriculture, permanently altering landscapes, water cycles, and ecosystems. Settlements become the seeds of future cities. The foundations of modern life emerge through trial, error, and imagination. Humanity steps toward destiny with both caution and ambition. The rise of Homo sapiens is ultimately a story of paradox. Fragile bodies paired with limitless cognitive potential, vulnerability fused with vision, and survival intertwined with creativity. From their origins in African grasslands to their spread across continents, humans reshape the history of the Earth through thought, collaboration, and innovation. Their presence marks the beginning of a new force on the planet, a species that can look to the cosmos and wonder what lies beyond. As humanity spreads across continents, the climate begins to shift in pulses, patterns of warming, cooling, drought, and rainfall that strike with both rhythm and unpredictability. These pulses carve the foundations of future civilizations, influencing where people settle, farm, migrate, and grow. The history of the Earth and the destiny of humanity become intertwined in a delicate balance. Every climatic shift becomes a lesson written in wind, water, and soil. Civilization is born from the breath of the planet. In regions where rainfall stabilizes and rivers swell with seasonal predictability, agriculture takes root with remarkable speed. The fertility of floodplains, like those of the Nile, Tigris, Euphrates, and Indus, allows humans to cultivate crops that anchor the first great societies. These early farmers learn to read the language of the earth, studying the rise and fall of water as if it were a divine script. Through this partnership with nature, abundance grows. Human destiny begins with soil. Elsewhere, periods of prolonged drought force populations to migrate in search of water and food, shaping new cultural mixes and technological innovations. The Sahara itself transforms from a savanna to a desert, pushing communities toward the Nile Valley and other habitable regions. Scarcity fosters creativity, giving rise to irrigation systems, water storage techniques, and communal cooperation. Climate becomes both challenge and teacher. Survival demands ingenuity at every turn. Cold pulses return across Europe and Asia, reshaping forests, grasslands, and available resources. These cooling events influence hunting patterns, trade routes, and the movement of tribes across vast landscapes. In these harsh periods, humans refine their clothing, shelters, and fire-making skills, building resilience into every generation. The earth sculpts culture through adversity. Cold becomes a crucible for innovation. When warming phases return, coastlines shift as glaciers retreat, opening new lands while flooding others. Rising seas reshape migration patterns and force communities to adapt or relocate. These changes push societies to develop boats, navigation techniques, and fishing strategies that broaden their reach across oceans. Humanity transforms climate pressure into exploration. Curiosity becomes a survival tool. Volcanic eruptions inject ash into the atmosphere, cooling regions for years and altering agricultural productivity. These disruptions test societies, leading to food shortages, conflict, and eventual adaptation through diversification of crops and storage methods. The interplay between climate and human behavior becomes evident in every archaeological record. Science reveals that civilization rises not through stability, but through the mastery of change. Earth's volatility shapes human resilience. Over time, humans learn to predict certain climate rhythms, monsoons, seasonal floods, and temperature cycles, using this knowledge to build calendars, rituals, and cultural identities. These systems strengthen agricultural planning and foster spiritual traditions that link people to the natural world. Climate becomes woven into myth, memory, and meaning. Civilizations grow from harmony between knowledge and environment. By the dawn of recorded history, climate pulses have shaped the distribution of languages, cultures, technologies, and political systems. The triumphs and failures of entire civilizations can be traced to the patterns of rainfall, temperature, and ocean currents that govern the planet. Humanity emerges as a species deeply shaped by the Earth's rhythms, forever bound to the climate that nourishes and tests it. From this dance between planet and people, the story of civilization takes form. The Cenozoic, though often remembered as an age of flourishing life, carries within it a sequence of extinctions that whisper lessons about the fragility of the planet. These events unfold quietly compared to the great catastrophes of earlier eras. Yet their impact shapes ecosystems for millions of years. Species vanish not in explosions, but in fading rhythms, their absence forming gaps that alter food webs and habitats. The history of the Earth records these shifts with patient precision. Extinction becomes both an ending and a message. The disappearance of early mammals marks one of the first waves, as climate fluctuations reshape forests and grasslands. Creatures that once thrived in warm, dense environments struggle when cooling and drying trends take hold. Their decline silently opens niches for new species better suited to evolving conditions. Evolution proceeds through both triumph and loss. The planet recalibrates its balance as life adapts to change. Marine ecosystems face their own challenges as ocean currents shift, temperatures rise and fall, and nutrient cycles fluctuate. Some species of marine mammals, sharks, and mollusks disappear as their food sources diminish or as their environments transform. Coral communities suffer during warming pulses, their fragile structures unable to withstand rapid chemical changes. These losses reshape the oceans that once nurtured early life. The seas remind us that the stability of ecosystems is never guaranteed. The extinction of the giant birds of the southern hemisphere highlights the vulnerability of specialized species. These towering creatures, some unable to fly, thrive in isolated environments, but falter when predators arrive or habitats shift. Their decline shows how isolation can be both sanctuary and trap. The Earth's interconnectedness becomes clear in their disappearance. No species exists without consequence to others. Climate-driven extinctions intensify as the ice ages come and go. Many large mammals, including some of the Cenozoic's most iconic megafauna, vanish during the transition from the last glacial period to the warmer Holocene. Their decline stems from shrinking habitats, shifting vegetation, and increasing competition for limited resources. The planet warms, but not all species rise with the temperature. Extinction shadows evolution as a constant companion. Some extinctions stem from volcanic activity, where eruptions alter atmospheric chemistry and disrupt food chains for years. These events, though regional compared to ancient mass extinctions, still have profound ecological impacts. Ash clouds block sunlight, cooling landscapes and affecting plants, herbivores, and predators in cascading layers. The Earth demonstrates its power to reset environments through both fire and ice. Change unfolds through cycles of destruction and renewal. The arrival and spread of Homo sapiens become an unexpected driver of extinction toward the end of the Cenozoic. Through hunting, habitat alteration, and competition for resources, humans contribute to the decline of species already destabilized by climatic shifts. Mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant sloths face pressures no ecosystem can absorb. The influence of humanity becomes a signal flare in the planet's geological record. A new force is shaping the biosphere. These extinctions, though less dramatic than the great mass extinctions of earlier eras, leave behind a profound message. Life is resilient, but not invincible. Each vanished species carries a story of adaptation, struggle, and eventual loss, echoing the delicate balance that sustains biodiversity. The silent warnings of the Cenozoic remind humanity that the planet responds to pressure with change, sometimes gentle, sometimes irreversible. In these absences, Earth speaks with clarity. As the Cenozoic unfolds, Earth begins shaping the oceans and atmosphere into the systems that sustain life today. Currents reorganize, winds shift, and climates stabilize into recognizable patterns that will guide the future of the planet. The history of the Earth enters a period where balance becomes as important as transformation. Through these vast, interconnected cycles, life evolves with extraordinary precision. The planet learns to breathe in rhythm. The formation of the Antarctic circumpolar current stands as one of the most defining events of the era. When Antarctica becomes encircled by continuous ocean flow, cold waters isolate the continent, triggering the expansion of massive ice sheets. This current reshapes global climates by redistributing heat and influencing wind patterns across the southern hemisphere. The oceans become a planetary thermostat. Temperature and circulation begin telling a new story of stability. In the northern hemisphere, the closure of ancient seaways forces warm currents to redirect. birthing the modern Gulf Stream and its powerful influence on regional climates. Europe warms, seasons sharpen, and ecosystems restructure around predictable temperature cycles. These shifts allow species to specialize, migrate, and thrive in a world shaped by the movement of water. The future climates of entire continents crystallize through these oceanic adjustments. The Earth becomes a master of redistribution. Atmospheric cycles evolve alongside the oceans, guided by shifts in temperature gradients, pressure zones, and continental arrangement. Monsoons intensify, carrying life-giving rains across vast regions, while deserts expand where dry air settles beneath high-pressure systems. Wind belts reorganize, influencing vegetation patterns, wildfire dynamics, and the availability of water across ecosystems. The atmosphere becomes a sculptor of habitats. Air and life enter a partnership sustained by physics. The carbon cycle gains new complexity as forests, grasslands, and oceans absorb and release carbon in rhythms that regulate global temperature. Organic matter buried in soils and sediments becomes a long-term reservoir, buffering against sudden climatic extremes. Marine organisms use carbon to build shells and skeletons, contributing to ocean chemistry and seafloor deposits. This delicate balance between carbon sources and sinks becomes essential for planetary resilience. The science of climate rests upon these exchanges. Phytoplankton blooms flourish in nutrient-rich waters, producing oxygen and supporting marine food webs from the smallest fish to the largest whales. These microscopic organisms drive a biological pump that transports carbon into the deep ocean, stabilizing the atmosphere over millions of years. Their influence reaches far beyond the surface, shaping the chemistry of entire seas. Life proves once again that even the most unassuming creatures carry monumental power. The oceans breathe through their light. Weather patterns gain rhythm as seasons establish predictable cycles, allowing species to coordinate migrations, breeding periods, and growth phases with environmental cues. Rainforests synchronize to rainfall, grasslands to seasonal dryness, and polar ecosystems to the waxing and waning of ice. These patterns create cohesion across biomes, strengthening ecosystems through repetition. Earth becomes a world of timing and tempo. Climate becomes a universal language. By the height of the Cenozoic, the oceans and atmosphere operate with the structure and complexity that define the modern Earth. These cycles regulate heat, shape biodiversity, and determine which environments flourish or fade. Their stability allows civilizations to emerge and thrive, anchoring humanity's destiny to the planet's breathing. The birth of these systems marks one of the most profound transformations in Earth's long story. From water and air, the modern world rises. The Cenozoic becomes a masterpiece of geological transformation as the Earth's crust rises, folds, and fractures with relentless force. Mountain ranges stretch toward the sky, redefining continents and sculpting climates with their sheer presence. Every uplift alters winds, rainfall, and the migration routes of life. In these towering cathedrals of stone, the history of the Earth is written in layers of ancient rock. The planet reshapes itself with purpose and precision. The rise of the Himalayas stands as one of the era's most monumental events. When India collides with Asia, the land crumples into peaks that pierce the atmosphere, forging the highest mountains on the planet. These colossal barriers redirect monsoons, trap moisture, and create deserts in their rain shadows. Climate systems reorganize around this new architecture. Earth demonstrates how geology and weather are inseparable forces. As the Andes rise along the western edge of South America, they create powerful climate gradients that influence ecosystems from the Amazon basin to the Pacific coast. Moist air from the east releases rain upon the forest before crossing the jagged peaks, descending as dry, cool winds onto arid deserts. This interplay crafts some of the most diverse environments on Earth. The mountains become engines of ecological variety. In Africa, the uplifting of the East African Rift begins splitting the continent, forming deep valleys, high plateaus, and volcanic peaks. This shifting landscape alters rainfall patterns and reorganizes habitats in ways that shape the evolution of early humans. Changing environments create opportunities for new adaptations, pushing species toward innovation and resilience. Geological forces quietly guide the trajectory of humanity's ancestors. Earth molds its future occupants with every fault line. North America experiences its own dramatic changes as the Rocky Mountains continue their rise. These uplift events influence storms, temperature gradients, and the flow of ancient rivers. Their formation reshapes ecosystems from tundra to grasslands, creating corridors and barriers that guide migration. The geological eras converge in these rugged landscapes. The Rockies become witnesses to the unfolding of life across the continent. Mountain building affects global climate by exposing fresh rock that reacts chemically with carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. This weathering process gradually lowers CO2 levels, contributing to long-term cooling trends that shape Ice Age dynamics. The planet uses stone as a tool for climate regulation, demonstrating the profound interconnection between geology and the atmosphere. Earth's stability emerges from these slow, powerful transformations. Rock becomes a regulator of time. Volcanic activity associated with tectonic movements reshapes coastlines and enriches ecosystems with nutrient-rich soils. Ash plumes influence short-term climate, dimming sunlight and cooling regions temporarily, while lava flows form new land that life eventually colonizes. These eruptions remind the world of the energy pulsing beneath the crust. Creation and destruction dance together beneath the surface. The planet's inner fire shapes the outer world. By the height of the Cenozoic, mountains across the globe stand as monuments to the ceaseless motion of tectonic plates. They control climates, steer winds, direct rivers, and set the stage for evolutionary drama. Their presence influences everything from ocean currents to human culture. The tectonic upheavals of this era reveal the Earth as an active, breathing system, one that sculpts life through stone and time. From these colossal forces, the modern planet emerges. As the final ice age loosens its grip, Earth begins a slow but profound transformation known as the last great thaw. Glaciers retreat in massive sheets, revealing valleys, plains, and river systems hidden beneath ice for tens of thousands of years. Meltwater surges reshape coastlines and carve new lakes across the continents. The planet awakens into a world both familiar and entirely new. This thaw marks a turning point in the history of the Earth. Rising temperatures trigger the collapse of ice margins from North America to Eurasia, flooding landscapes with torrents that sculpt the land at extraordinary speed. Meltwater lakes burst through icy dams, sending catastrophic waves across ancient plains. These events create fertile soils that will one day nourish civilizations. Earth's rebirth unfolds through both violence and renewal. Water becomes the architect of the future. As sea levels rise, coastlines retreat inland, swallowing forests, grasslands, and early human settlements. Islands emerge, while others vanish beneath the waves, reshaping migration routes and resource availability. The planet reorganizes its geography to match its new climate state. For humanity, these shifts bring both opportunity and loss. The Earth teaches its inhabitants that change is the only constant. Vegetation spreads northward as temperatures climb, transforming tundra into forests and barren plains into grasslands. This greening reshapes ecosystems, inviting new species to migrate, adapt, or evolve. Herbivores follow the expanding vegetation, while predators pursue them across shifting territories. These migrations spark new ecological interactions that build the foundation of modern biodiversity. Life responds to warmth with movement. The melting glaciers release immense amounts of fresh water into the oceans, disrupting currents that redistribute heat around the globe. These changes alter weather patterns, intensifying storms in some regions while calming them in others. The climate settles into rhythms closer to those known today. Earth calibrates its systems through this delicate balance between ice, water, and air. The planet crafts stability from transformation. In the Americas, the retreat of ice opens corridors that allow humans to expand southward, eventually populating the entire continent. These migrations create cultural diversity shaped by different environments: mountains, deserts, forests, and coasts, all molded by the last great thaw. Human history becomes inseparable from climate history. Every step traces the path of a warming world. As ice sheets shrink, they release pressure from the crust below, allowing land to rebound upward in a process known as isostatic uplift. This gradual rising reshapes shorelines and river courses, influencing settlement patterns for millennia. The Earth adjusts its posture after carrying ice for ages. Land and water renegotiate their boundaries with quiet persistence. By the end of this warming period, the planet stands fully transformed, operating under climate systems that resemble the modern world. The last great thaw sets the stage for agriculture, civilization, and the spread of humanity across every continent. It marks the end of an ancient, frozen chapter and the beginning of an era defined by human influence. From melting ice, a new Earth emerges, alive, fertile, and ready for the next story. The Holocene begins with a gentle warmth settling across the planet, stabilizing climates after thousands of years of glacial chaos. Rivers find new paths, forests expand, and ecosystems settle into patterns that will support an explosion of life and culture. This brief geological era becomes the cradle of human civilization, shaping the landscapes where societies will rise. In the long history of the Earth, the Holocene is a moment of rare calm. Yet it carries the seeds of extraordinary transformation. As temperatures stabilize, humans start to shift from nomadic lives to settled communities, discovering how to cultivate crops that flourish under predictable seasons. Wheat, rice, maize, and barley anchor early societies, allowing populations to grow and specialize. These agricultural innovations reshape land, soil, and water in ways that echo across millennia. Humanity begins a new relationship with the Earth, one of cultivation rather than constant pursuit. Civilization's foundation grows from the ground up. Villages soon become towns, and towns become cities, as trade, craftsmanship, and storytelling weave cultures together across vast distances. Rivers such as the Nile, Yellow, Tigris, and Indus become arteries of early empires, supporting transportation, irrigation, and social organization. Architecture rises with confidence, reflecting ambition, belief, and collective identity. The Holocene becomes a stage upon which human creativity flourishes. The world transforms through shared vision. In this era, the climate's relative stability allows humans to refine technologies that accelerate progress. Pottery, metallurgy, navigation, mathematics, and written language. Each breakthrough expands the boundaries of what civilization can achieve. Societies learn to track time through celestial cycles, using the cosmos to guide planting, rituals, and navigation. The planets and stars become guardians of knowledge. The universe becomes part of the human story. Forests and grasslands continue evolving under the influence of expanding human populations. Agriculture replaces wild landscapes, and animals once free-roaming become livestock, shaping ecosystems through selective breeding. These shifts alter the balance of biodiversity, pushing some species into retreat while others flourish under human care. The Holocene becomes a proving ground for the impacts of human activity on the biosphere. Earth adapts to a new kind of force. Climate, though mostly stable, still fluctuates in ways that test civilizations. Periodic droughts, volcanic eruptions, and regional cooling events challenge societies to innovate or collapse. The fall of ancient civilizations often aligns with environmental stresses that disrupt food production and migration routes. These patterns illustrate the delicate interplay between climate and culture. Humanity learns repeatedly that survival depends on harmony with the Earth. As populations grow, humans spread across continents with increasing speed, carrying languages, technologies, and traditions into new environments. This expansion creates a mosaic of cultures shaped by local climates, resources, and histories. Trade networks connect distant regions, allowing ideas to travel faster than ever. Human identity becomes both deeply rooted and globally expansive. Civilization thrives through exchange. By the end of the Holocene, humanity stands poised at the edge of a transformation unprecedented in the geological eras. The stability that allowed civilization to flourish now faces pressures from agriculture, urbanization, and technological growth. The modern world emerges from this short, vital era, an era that transformed forests into cities, rivers into trade routes, and ideas into monuments. From Holocene calm, the future accelerates, carrying humanity toward a new epoch shaped by its own hand. The Anthropocene emerges as a chapter unlike any other in the history of the Earth. A time when a single species becomes powerful enough to shape the planet, landscapes, climate, and future. Humanity's influence spreads through air, water, and soil, altering ecosystems with unprecedented speed. Cities rise like geological formations of steel and glass, rewriting coastlines and riverbeds. This new epoch is born from innovation, ambition, and consequence. Earth enters a human-shaped age. Fossil fuels unlock energy stored for millions of years, releasing carbon that transforms the atmosphere and warms the planet. Oceans absorb much of this heat, shifting currents, bleaching coral reefs, and altering marine biodiversity. The chemistry of the air and sea changes faster than many species can adapt. Climate becomes a mirror reflecting humanity's choices. The planet's balance tilts under the weight of consumption. Deforestation spreads across continents as forests make way for agriculture, pasture, and expanding cities. These changes disrupt carbon storage, water cycles, and habitats vital for countless species. Plants and animals migrate toward the poles, seeking climates that match their ancestral homes. Some thrive, many decline. Biodiversity becomes increasingly fragile. Nature battles to keep pace with human acceleration. Plastic, metals, and chemical compounds begin to form a new geological layer, one that future scientists may study as evidence of human activity. These materials enter oceans, soils, and even the atmosphere, carried by winds and currents far from their origins. The Earth becomes a mosaic of natural and synthetic elements. The Anthropocene leaves a signature in every corner of the world. Yet, humanity also develops powerful tools to understand and protect the planet. Satellites that monitor climate, genetics that preserve species, and technologies that restore damaged ecosystems. Conservation movements rise in response to visible loss, driven by scientists, communities, and global cooperation. Earth witnesses a new force, not destruction, but stewardship. The Anthropocene becomes a story of choice. Urbanization reshapes the planet as billions move into cities that pulse with energy, innovation, and cultural exchange. These dense environments become centers of creativity, but also hubs of consumption, demanding resources from every biome. Transportation networks, power grids, and industries weave a global web that connects humanity more tightly than ever before. Civilization becomes a planetary-scale organism. Its heartbeat echoes across continents. Extreme events, wildfires, heat waves, storms, and floods grow more intense as climate systems respond to atmospheric change. These events test infrastructure, economies, and resilience, reminding humanity of its vulnerability despite technological mastery. Science reveals the links between emissions and instability with increasing clarity. The planet asks humanity to listen. The Anthropocene holds both warning and potential. By the height of this new epoch, the human fingerprint is unmistakable. Warming oceans, altered landscapes, shifting species, and atmospheric records embedded in ice. Yet the future remains unwritten. The Anthropocene is not merely a consequence, it is a crossroads. Humanity can continue shaping the world through consumption or through restoration and wisdom. In this moment, Earth waits for the next chapter, poised between peril and possibility. As the Anthropocene unfolds, the future of life on Earth hangs in a delicate balance between resilience, collapse, and renewal. The planet stands at a crossroads shaped by climate, biodiversity, and the choices of a single species with unprecedented power. The history of the Earth has shown that life adapts, transforms, and survives, but never without consequence. Now the next chapter depends on how humanity acts within this fragile moment. The future is a question written in time. Climate projections reveal a spectrum of possibilities, from warming oceans that disrupt currents to extreme events that reshape coastlines and cities. If emissions continue unchecked, temperatures may rise to levels not seen in millions of years, challenging ecosystems on every continent. Coral reefs could fade, forests could shift or burn, and polar ice could retreat beyond historical limits. Yet these outcomes are not inevitable. The planet responds to the forces placed upon it. Innovation offers a path toward resilience, renewable energy, carbon capture, ecosystem restoration, and sustainable practices that align humanity with the rhythms of the Earth. These solutions draw on science, creativity, and global collaboration, showing how human ingenuity can become a force for balance rather than disruption. Technologies evolve as fast as the challenges they address. The universe has not closed the door on renewal. Biodiversity stands at the center of this future, its protection essential for stabilizing ecosystems, regulating climate, and ensuring food security. Species that survive today's pressures may evolve into forms that carry life forward into new eras. Conservation efforts restore habitats, protect keystone species, and rebuild ecological networks that have frayed under human impact. Life reaches for continuity. Earth invests in its own recovery. Human society must also adapt, reimagining cities, agriculture, and resource use to align with environmental limits. This transformation requires cultural shifts, not just technological ones, encouraging communities to value sustainability over exploitation. Each choice shapes the future landscape of the planet. Civilization becomes an active participant in the evolution of the world. Humanity learns that survival requires humility. Renewal becomes possible when humans embrace stewardship, cultivating a relationship with the Earth built on respect rather than dominance. Forests can regrow, oceans can recover, and species can rebound when given space and time. The planet has demonstrated its capacity for healing throughout the geological eras. What remains uncertain is whether humanity will allow this healing to unfold. The decision belongs to the present. Collapse, however, remains a potential outcome if environmental thresholds are ignored. Ecosystems may deteriorate beyond recovery, triggering food shortages, economic instability, and mass displacement. Climate instability could intensify, forcing societies to confront the consequences of inaction. The Earth, shaped by natural laws, cannot negotiate with unsustainable habits. The cost of imbalance is written into the planet's physics. Life must adapt or fall. The future of life on Earth is neither predetermined nor fixed. It is a mosaic of possibilities sculpted by science, behavior, and time. Whether the coming centuries bring renewal or decline, resilience or collapse, depends on the choices made in this extraordinary moment. Humanity stands as both the challenge and the solution. In this delicate horizon, the Earth waits for its next direction, hope rising alongside uncertainty. The Cenozoic, stretching across 66 million years, stands as a testament to the planet's unmatched ability to rise from devastation and reshape itself anew. From the ashes of the dinosaurs to the dawn of human consciousness, this era is a story of resilience, adaptation, and transformation. The history of the Earth unfolds through cycles of warming and cooling, expansion and retreat, flourishing and extinction. Each chapter whispers a lesson about impermanence. The planet teaches through change. Life during the Cenozoic proves that survival favors not the strongest, but the most adaptable. Mammals rise from obscurity, primates explore the canopy, and humans emerge from ancestral shadows, all because they can adjust to shifting climates and evolving landscapes. This adaptability forms the backbone of the era. The science of evolution reveals its deepest truth. Resilience comes from flexibility, not force. The Earth rewards those who bend rather than break. The Cenozoic also demonstrates the power of climate as the architect of destiny. Ice ages carve continents, warm periods reshape ecosystems, and atmospheric cycles guide migrations across vast distances. These forces, subtle or extreme, remind humanity that the planet is not passive. It is alive with motion, rhythm, and purpose. Earth sculpts its future with every shift of wind, water, and stone. Stability is found in constant revision. Biodiversity flourishes when ecosystems remain balanced, but collapses when stress becomes too severe. The rise and fall of species throughout the Cenozoic highlight the delicate structure of nature's web. Every extinction leaves an echo in forests, oceans, and grasslands. Every adaptation adds a new verse to the song of life. The era teaches that the survival of one species depends on the harmony of many. Nature thrives through connection. The emergence of Homo sapiens becomes the most surprising storyline, a species fragile in body, yet limitless in imagination. With fire, language, art, and innovation, humans ascend to a level of influence unmatched by any previous organism. Their actions reshape climates, landscapes, and entire ecosystems, marking the transition into the Anthropocene. The Cenozoic reveals both humanity's brilliance and its responsibility. Knowledge becomes a double-edged force. This era shows that every change carries consequences, some immediate, others unfolding over millennia. Oceans warm or cool, forests expand or vanish, and atmospheric chemistry rewrites itself in response to natural forces and human choices. The geological eras are not separate stories. They are connected chapters in a single, evolving narrative. The Earth endures, yet it records every decision. Time holds memory. The Cenozoic also teaches that healing is always possible. Ecosystems recover after fire, oceans renew after temperature shifts, and species evolve after challenges. Recovery may take millions of years, but it happens through the persistent, quiet work of life. The planet is resilient beyond measure, but not invincible. Renewal requires cooperation between nature and humanity. Hope lies in understanding this partnership. In the end, the eternal lesson of the Cenozoic is simple, yet profound. Life changes because the planet changes, and the planet changes because life moves with it. This era reveals the endless dialogue between Earth and its inhabitants, a conversation shaped by physics, biology, and time. The Cenozoic is not just a chapter of the past, it is a mirror for the future, reminding humanity that adaptation, awareness, and respect will guide the next steps of our shared story. The story of the Cenozoic is more than a journey through the past, it is a compass for the future. Every warming and cooling, every extinction and renewal, every rise and fall of species teaches us how life survives by learning, adapting, and paying attention. Now that you've walked through 66 million years of transformation, the question becomes, what will you do with this knowledge? Understanding the planet's history gives you the power to shape the chapter yet to be written. Look around your world with new eyes. The forests you pass, the oceans you cross, the animals you encounter. All of them are the living descendants of the Cenozoic, shaped by the same forces that molded our species. When you see a mountain, remember the collision of continents. When you feel the wind, remember the birth of atmospheric cycles. And when you breathe, remember the long story of life that made that breath possible. The Earth lives within you. Now I want to hear from you. What part of the Cenozoic surprised you the most? Was it the rise of mammals, the Ice Age's sculpting continents, the first footsteps of humanity, or the transformation into the Anthropocene? Your answer might inspire the next episode, so leave your thoughts in the comments. And if this journey expanded your understanding of the history of the Earth, subscribe to Chronicles of Earth and activate notifications. Here, every video brings you closer to the deep forces that shaped the cosmos, the planet, and the fragile miracle of life. I'll leave you with the words of Carl Sagan, a voice that still echoes through science and the universe. You are the result of 1 billion years of evolutionary triumph. Act like it.